Hey everyone, welcome to another live recording of the Engadget Podcast. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardawar. I'm joined by Sherlyn Lowe, our reviews editor. Hey Sherlyn.
Hi.
Hello. And our podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey Ben.
Hello.
Hello. So I think you can all probably tell what the big story is going to be this week. So we're going to be chatting about the Reddit, how Redditors basically blew up GameStop stock, and also a bunch of other companies. Little more into the financial things than we normally do, but I think it'll be fun. And we have a guest on to help us chat about that more, Mike Futter. We have not started recording the podcast yet. This is all preliminary. Thank you, Mike, for joining us too.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So as always, folks, this is our live stream segment. You're going to see how the podcast is made. We're not going to take questions as we're recording. There will be Q&A sections between segments, so then we can actually respond to your questions and stuff. So that's usually how it goes.
A quick shout out for people who use closed captioning. We have a new option for you now. There's space. We made room on the bottom of the screen for it. I understand, though, that sometimes closed captioning, when it's not done right, it can really cover up the faces of people who are talking. So there's also another option in our YouTube video description. You can click on the link to directly stream the closed captioning on a separate browser window, which you can resize however you want.
Live captioning. That's cool.
Size. So yeah, there you go. It doesn't have to cover up your face or our faces or whatever it is you want to see on the screen.
Yeah, no, please don't cover us up. That's it. Okay, we're going to let some people come in, and we're going to kick off the show soon. Ben, are we all good on your end?
Yeah, we're all good on my end.
Okay. Let's kick off in 3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm senior editor Devendra Hardawar.
I'm reviews editor Sherlyn Lowe.
Today, we're going to talk about what the hell happened to GameStop's stock and how Redditors were kind of behind all of it. As always, please subscribe to the Engadget Podcast on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes. All that stuff is super helpful. But let's get right to GameStop and everything going on there. Honestly, I saw the story bubbling up this week, and I could not really make heads or tails of it. It seems like a lot of media organizations took their time too. The New York Times had a piece yesterday, so it was also like a couple days late. Everybody was processing it. But one thing I want to do is talk to somebody who actually knows more about the financial side of the game industry and this industry overall. So we brought on Mike Futter, founder of F Squared Consulting, to chat about this. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm doing well. This seems like a busy week for you, right? Because I'm seeing your name pop up all over the place where people are just trying to deconstruct what happened here. So can you give us just a quick overview? Why is GameStop's stock exploding like this?
Well, there have been some natural reasons why GameStop stock has improved. Last year, about this time, it was bouncing between $3.50 and $5. Jeez. And as I glance down at the ticker, it's currently at $403, which seems a little absurd. And it is a little absurd. So around September, the stock started to pick up a little bit. It started to break through that ceiling of around $5. When we got to mid-October, it was trading at about $10. And then news of this relationship between Microsoft and GameStop came out, where Loop Capital and Domo Capital were two companies. Domo being long on GameStop, meaning they thought the stock was going to improve over the long term. And then Loop Capital being a short seller, thinking that it was actually not going to be too material. But the deal is essentially that every Xbox that GameStop sells into the ecosystem, Microsoft is going to give them some kind of revenue share. Now, we don't know how much that is. And depending on who you talk to, and again, everybody has a position that they're trying to reinforce, it could be as low as 1% or even lower, up to 10%. Nobody really knows at this point. So then at the end of December, we had, obviously at this point, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles have launched. They're selling out everywhere, lifts GameStop stock to $20. Every year, GameStop in January announces how their 9-week holiday period did. For this year, they were down a couple of percent, but they've also closed 11% of their stores. So what they look at is they look at comparables that includes their e-commerce, which was up, I think, something like 300%. So because of the pandemic, it drove a lot of people to GameStop's e-commerce site. That lifted even as store sales were depressed. And ultimately, based on their store comparables, they were actually up nearly 5%. So the stock then jumped up to $30. and that's on like January 13th or so.
So that's all like organic,
That's
normal
organic.
growth.
You can pin that to things that GameStop has done, or parts of their business that have succeeded, or they have what's called a dedensification plan, where they're closing a lot of stores. I think their target is closing 2,000 stores. That also affects, of course, inventory carrying costs. So they don't have to order as much. They don't have to stock as much. It affects staffing. It affects rents. So there's a lot of expense side benefit that they have gotten that has only been reflected as a few percent down total year over year. So then Wall Street Bets really starts to pump GameStop.
Right. The subreddit Wall Street Bets, which is this group of just people who spend a lot of time at home day trading, basically, and trading tips around, right?
And what makes GameStop particularly vulnerable is it was so heavily shorted, such that when you look at their float, now float is the percentage of stock that's publicly available to buy and sell. So it's not locked up for any reason. There's nothing restricting that stock from entering the market. GameStop's float was 138%, which makes absolutely no sense,
right?
Because so
where's that value coming from? Basically,
so
that's what you're saying.
It's not so much as value as the number of shares that have been sold into the market.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the way stock shorting works is you borrow a share from somebody who owns it. You sell that share into the market. You have money in your hands. You are then betting that stock is going to go down. You are going to repurchase the stock at a lower value and then return it to the person who owns it. Now, there's some tricky things in there. The first is that if the stock goes up, you have to cover. At some point, you are going to have to return that share, which means anytime the stock goes up, that is loss for you. Which, as you can see, again, looking at that ticker at $403, for somebody who bought in at $5, $10, $15, even $50 and expected that stock price to go down, they're losing money. The other piece of that is you cannot vote with a loaned out share. So if I am a major stockholder and GameStop's fiscal year closes on February 1st, which is 3 days away, it closes on the 31st, it's 3 days away. And then there's going to be votes that happen as part of their annual meeting in a couple of months, and their earnings are going to come out. Those shares are going to have to get returned at some point. They're going to be called in. And if they're called in and the stock's at $500, which it almost was in pre-trade today, and you bought at 50, you've lost 1,000%.
So you owe that money.
You owe that money. You have to, and the way you owe that money is you have to repurchase the stock. So what ended up happening was, as the stock started to go up and there started to be a run on it, inventory started to decrease. And then you have short sellers looking at this going, that number's going up. I'm going to lose a lot of money. Eventually,
what are these nerds doing, basically? What is happening here?
So it causes what's called a short squeeze. In other words, you have, and then there's this term I learned today called a gamma squeeze, which feels like the Hulk's involved. So you have this run on the stock, which decreases inventory, increases price. And then you have short sellers who are looking to get out because they want to cut their losses and just cover at that point, which means they're rushing to buy more stock out of limited inventory. Which,
even though the short sellers want the stock to go down, the fact that they have to rebuy it pushes it back up.
And that's the gamma squeeze.
It's
this churn, this cyclical effect of people rushing to get out. So two of the big ones, Melvin Capital has apparently gotten out. They lost 100. I'm sorry, I don't know how much they lost. It says I think they lost 30% through Friday from the beginning of the year of their total value. They also made, interestingly enough, $25 million shorting CD Projekt stock before. So they shorted it right before Cyberpunk came out. And then obviously that stock lost $100 or 100 zloty.
What did they know?
Yeah.
What did they know? I don't know. So let me just say, so we can see like there are a lot of mechanisms involved here, Mike, and thank you for the explainer. We have somebody who's a little on the ground at Wall Street Bets who can maybe give us a little more context about what was going on at Reddit. Where's our Reddit Bets insider?
Hello.
I love
and if you're not watching on the live stream, it is just Finance Bro cartoon with sunglasses. I love it. It's great.
It's my favorite.
See, that's all we really are. So I am one of, and now I think it's up to like 3.6 million people. I'm a nobody. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have any fiduciary duty to myself or anyone else that's possibly listening to anything that I have to say. And everyone in the subreddit is the same exact way. So
Okay.
the way we choose stocks such as GameStop is literally based on other people telling us, listen, here's our due diligence. Here is our research. Here is why we believe this stock is going to completely turn around and transform into the next big thing. And if you don't agree with us, that's fine. Here's a TLDR, bunch of rocket emojis, and we're all in. So from our perspective, the way this started was back about sometime in last year, in 2019 actually. This user, Deep F and Value, basically took out a $50,000 position where he set it for, I believe he had calls for about $8 a share. I'm not exactly the specific price, but essentially he bet that by January 15th of this year, he could make good on those calls, and he held this entire time. Mind you, there wasn't really any news propelling GameStop forward or downwards. Everyone thought it was going to go bankrupt during COVID, like you were describing.
Yep.
There was really no fundamental reason for this change. He just believed that with some form of restructuring, if they focus more on their e-commerce business, there was a hope that it could at the very least hit that $8 target price. And what ended up happening was Ryan Cohen, the Chewy.com founder, ended up joining the board. It has a big position as well. You have Michael Burry seeing the same transformation, then taking a huge stake in it. The former president of Nintendo of America joined the board of directors for GameStop. And the Ryan Cohen news, I think, was the biggest propellant in terms of pushing users like myself to get on board, because we believed if this guy can make Chewy a huge company in the stock market, he could do the same exact thing for GameStop. And because of a user like DFV, who constantly, every day now, is updating us, letting us know, like, hold the line, boys, we got this, that we all know we can just stick in and watch this ride. And then a couple weeks back, like you're describing, everyone caught on to the fact that 140% of these shares were being shorted, which means that not only is there a short position on it, but there's most likely naked shorts, which is technically illegal. And Mike, you can explain that much better than I am, because again, not a financial advisor here. But all of these factors, and the fact that just a ton of people now are saying, listen, if this short squeeze happens, this price target will hit $1,000. There's no reason not to just try and see if you can join in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there are two concerns right now. Obviously, one is the naked short problem, which is given the percentage of the float being it was 138.5%. I think it went down to 120 after Melvin and Citron both got out. Citron took 100% loss on their stock, so like that's real bad for them. I'm not really crying though, because you know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really crying for how badly the hedge funds are really just getting hammered right now. And I think that's part of it too. I think a lot of the narrative is this is very much a Robinhood-esque story. And speaking of Robinhood, there is that app too that was allowing people to, make these trades really quickly. Robinhood, by the way, has stopped allowing people to actually buy or sell GameStop or AMC or any of these other these hot bets from Wall Street Bets, right?
Yeah, it's Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, Trading 212 are the three that I'm aware of that have. You can close out your position, but you can't buy new.
Gotcha. So I think there's a lot going on here, because we're looking at, why is this happening now, right? I think a lot of people are at home. I've read that a lot of people are doing more day trading now, either because they're out of work or they have more free time. They have more time to like pay attention to everything that's happening here. And I don't know, I'm wondering too, like, are stimulus payments, the fact that people are getting a little more money than they normally do, I don't know if that's factoring into that. Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that anytime you've got it's the tax return thing, right? People, if you think about how people view their tax returns, they're getting money back that they overpaid into the government. This is not entirely the same. Obviously, these stimulus payments are important, but they're no strings attached. There's no edict on what you have to spend them on. So if people are okay and they're eligible for a stimulus payment, and this is how they want to spend their money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's money, there are a lot of people who I assume are looking at this as, well, it's not money I was expecting. And
Right.
So there is this.
It's kind of play money at this point for a lot of folks. And they're like, okay, I could take $500 on this random stock. Sure.
Right. And I think for me, there's a little friction there because for a lot of people, that money and there's more that they need. And there's more that people should have been getting along the way. So there's some friction in there in feeling like, is this right? Well, you know what? It's your money.
It's your money. And also like they're not doing anything wrong. Like, let's be clear. I don't think any of these day traders or personal traders are doing anything wrong. They are in effect kind of using Wall Street's tools against them, right? Because the thing that the big traders and the hedge funds always had over the dumb money, over the, standalone individual traders is that they had a ton of a bank. They could influence entire markets. They could influence stocks just based on what they're doing. And now it's individuals banding together in a way. There's a lot of talk about like the memification of what this is. Basically, it's trading turned into a meme. It's Redditors getting behind one stock and turning it into a meme and getting everybody to act on it. I think in a lot of ways that's that's kind of where we are as a society, right? Like, let's rewind 4 years. I kind of think the lead up to Donald Trump was the memification as this weirdo clown, who's like, oh, he's not acting like anybody. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he became president? I think for a lot of people, that is kind of the thing, right? And he was powered by Twitter and a lot of social media as well. And that's it. We're seeing the power of the internet to reshape society in fundamental ways. And I don't know, it's kind of right now, it's kind of funny seeing what's happening with this particular stock. But I do wonder, I feel like with any major shift like this or any major bubble, it's going to burst eventually and it's going to leave people really hurting too. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I think that I want to preface this by saying I have no love for hedge fund managers. I have no love for people who may have been involved with or were directly involved with what happened in 2008, 2009 that hurt a lot of people. People lost their homes, they lost their jobs, they were furloughed. They lost their health insurance, and who got bailed out on that? It was the banks that got bailed out. So banks
and nobody went to jail. Nobody was really punished for literally destroying the economy. Yeah,
absolutely. So I have no love for hedge fund managers. My concern is that you're absolutely right. This is the way things are, and memification. We saw that hit Twitter and Facebook, and I've got two potential concerns here. Is if this becomes the norm, again, no love lost for hedge fund managers, is that one, if this becomes prolific, does it destabilize the market? If regulation is enforced, because we know that the government is slow to regulate, in an environment where the government's going to react and then re-regulate everything and look at everything like, hey, oh no, our system has been broken all this time. We finally have to fix it. If that's the end result, I'm all in. I'm on board for that. I don't believe the government will do that. I believe they will try to punish Wall Street bets and average people and not hedge funds. My other concern is that we have seen foreign powers infiltrate social media through troll farms. And I'm afraid of how this might be levered to
for sure
do the same thing.
Yeah. I do think like leading up to the 2016 election too, there's a lot that's been written about how Russian troll farms kind of manipulated media and social media in many different ways. And I wonder, this just seems like another vector of attack now, right? You could pick up a random stock, blow it up, and then leave everybody high and dry in a way. And you do that enough, that just really, hurts the faith in the market, I guess. And it doesn't seem like things are going well right now either. I was listening to Marketplace Money yesterday. Things are hurting all around. This seems like the only aspect of the market that's kind of blowing up, right, is these meme lords.
Yeah, my again, this kind of trickles down to my own personal trauma around 2008, 2009, and my own fears.
We all have our stories. But please tell me, Mike.
So I was working in nonprofits, which were pinched because nonprofits rely on rich people giving them money in order to provide services, whatever those services are. And if people are underwater, people's investments are down, then there's no money to give to nonprofits who are providing services because our healthcare system is broken, and we need we need nonprofits to fill in where our systems don't work. So there's the hurt on that side. And that was particularly about the housing market. We saw housing values go down. We were moving in 2009. We took a bath on a house that we had not only purchased, but invested a lot in doing upgrades to. And then you've just got the whole situation of things recovering very slowly, and nobody facing any punishment for it, as we've talked about. So you've got all these different things, and then there's the credit card companies, of course, which start to panic, and they did in 2008, 2009. We were overutilized on our credit cards because my wife was going through medical training and not making a lot of money, and we had 2 kids, and we needed to, we had stuff that we needed to pay, so we overutilized our credit cards, and every time we paid off, we saw our credit limits go down. So there was we were always bumping up against that headroom. I will say there was one credit card company that didn't do that, and I will be loyal to them for forever because of that. So there are all these ways that again, this is me thinking very long term. If regulation doesn't happen, if faith in the system, even though the system is wildly broken, is disrupted, how is that going to affect people who are simply invested for retirement? Again, we're not at that point yet, but I'm looking down the road and saying, are we going to get there?
Yeah. I think it's a legitimate concern, and we're seeing people kind of pitch forward and see where all this will take us. One thing I'm wondering too, I do think the stock market and financial markets in general are almost purposefully hard to decipher for normal people too. So is this entire situation just Wall Street bets kind of using the tools of the finance industry against them? Is that what's happening? These people have decoded a certain thing and have found value in these stocks that they may think are undervalued and actually are able to pump them up now. Is this, I guess we talked about this before, but it does seem like, hey, now Wall Street has something new that they have to catch up on compared to everybody else.
I think we will find out when GameStop reports its earnings.
Yeah.
I think if there is a massive backlash that indicates that brings the stock value in line to what the company is actually doing and how they're performing, then there's a problem. If the value holds because momentum buyers aren't really concerned with ratios and concerned with what the earnings have to say right now, if they're in it long and believe that over time that the company is going to recover and the value and the share price doesn't shift in any massive way, then this is belief in the stock, and GameStop wins, and everybody who got in during this week absolutely wins.
Gotcha. How likely do you think that is? Because I do feel like we're seeing some people, I saw some Reddit stories about, I was able to pay off my dog's operation because of, the money I've earned so far. What happens if people hold too long, right? There is a point where they could just lose everything, right?
If it goes down.
Yep.
And that's kind of the thing, is where I believe that there will be some kind of normalization. I think GameStop will benefit in the long run. I don't see that this necessarily hurts GameStop enormously in the long run. But I also, and the fact that this is so widely publicized, we're not just going to see the end of this, where usually earnings report, stock goes down. Nobody has been following why it got to as high as it was. So there's the benefit there of, no, everybody knows why it's as high as it is right now. So if it falls off down to 150, when it was before all of this at $30, $40, that's still a win for GameStop. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to lose their shirts if they hang on too long.
Yeah. And it is weird because GameStop, we haven't even talked about the value of GameStop as a company, but I think it's a terrible company. I think it's, oh my God, this is talk about a company that failed to evolve as everything went digital. And so much of what they did was just predatory on buyers, selling warranties on things that people didn't need, selling used copies of games for almost the same price as new games. There was the whole thing. I remember the very last time I was in a GameStop where I said, never again. I went in there looking for the second analog stick attachment for the 3DS, I think, to play the Resident Evil like that one title. And it's like this weird accessory. But I was just like, hey, do you guys have this in stock? Because I was walking by. And the guy just looked at me, snarked, and was like, should have pre-ordered, dude. I'm like, you're a physical store. Yeah. Your one purpose is to have goods and services so I can buy them. And they couldn't do that. And they're always kind of dicks about it too. So, hey, I'm sad people were losing their jobs, but I think a lot of that stuff came down from corporate in terms of what they were pushing their employees to do. I think like fundamentally as a company, they were just kind of toxic. They were held up by Funko Pops basically for the past decade and not really the sales of games.
And then they closed ThinkGeek, which was a beloved brand that they acquired. So even they reunified that, and they used ThinkGeek to prop up GameStop's e-commerce portal because people were going to ThinkGeek and buying stuff at ThinkGeek, but they weren't going to GameStop because nobody wanted to buy online from GameStop. For instance, they don't do bundle shipping. So if you order 3 items that all come out the same day, they're going to charge you individual shipping for each of them. Well, I can order from Target, I can order from Best Buy and pick it up, I can order from Amazon. You know, GameStop's the specialty retailer. It should be doing better in this area.
For sure. Sherlyn, like, I don't know how much you've paid attention to the gaming side of things, but I know also you at least are interested in the like how things are working on the financial side in America. Any thoughts on what's happening?
Yeah, in America is a key point there, right? Because in a former life, I worked in investor relations in Singapore. So issuing stock and talking to investors and talking about our share prices and stuff like that, it was a huge part of my life way back when. And anytime something like this happened, like one time there was a rumor our company was going to be bought by this major international conglomerate, our share price went through the roof. But the second we moved beyond a certain number of points, like, I don't know, $20 or something, there would be a trading halt. So to me, because that's the way the Singapore Stock Exchange is. And for me, this is like, how did it get to this point where like inflation's pretty insane?
We have no rules.
There's I mean, I guess this is great because y'all are a very free and open market, but for a lot of the live chat viewers are also saying that, you know, this can't keep going on. I agree with Mike here. I don't think this is very realistic to think this price is going to stick around. And if you're going to cash out now, good for you. But because
take your earnings and go.
Right. If everyone's blocking the buy-ins now, hopefully that will drive the price down. I mean, like right now we're looking at the ticker. It's fallen since this morning at $410.20-ish. Now it's at $397, but it's still fluctuating. It's
let's be absolutely clear here. When I logged on at 9:30 a.m., the price was $310. As we were recording, it jumped up to what, $420, and now it's back to $390. So it's still blowing up.
Ridiculous.
It's insane.
This movement to me is not stability. Also, having been on the company side of things, right? I mean, like, I think we were all curious to see what GameStop would have to say, but me and Devendra checked out GameStop's various Twitter and public facing channels, and there was like nothing. We're like, we're chill with this, man. Like,
yeah, they're like, totally, all right.
It's not as if they can cash out, right? Like, this isn't talking about their market cap. This is just a fake number that isn't actually their company's value. It's very different. Like when we issue new shares, we're talking about getting in more money to be like, here's our market cap. This is money that we have. But this doesn't really work for them until people start selling at that price. So, or start buying at that price. So people are buying at that price, but they also have to hold on to that money because they have to like anticipate the day that we're going to sell at that price. So it's like, all right, we got a lot of money, but it's not money we can hold on to. If I were GameStop, I'd be nervous. I don't know. Is that accurate, Mike, or am I talking?
Oh, absolutely. I think I tweeted this morning that George Sherman he's the CEO of GameStop, has to be sweating right now. Yeah. Because if they do one thing wrong, or if the earnings come in really poorly. Now remember, they're still very supply constrained. We heard from Microsoft earlier this week that they're expecting Xbox Series console shortages at least through this current quarter, which ends March 31st. And then we heard from, I think it was AMD, said expect shortages through the first half of the year. Now, PlayStation's probably dealing with the same thing, shortages. Now, there's a slow trickle into, but there's not enough units to satisfy demand right now. So they're capped there. Switch is still doing very well, but I think this is the quarter we're going to see that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One really start to fall off. You would have normally seen it in the lead up to a new console, the 12 months leading up to a new console generation. But because of the pandemic, it actually drove hardware up. It drove software up. It was great for the industry. So there's this double normalization that might happen for GameStop, where we finally see last generation hardware start to fall off. There's no new or there's very little new hardware in the market. And by the way, if we start to exit the pandemic and people are able to start putting their entertainment dollars other places, live events, movies, concerts, vacations, then all of a sudden gaming starts to normalize a little bit. I don't think it's going to suffer a huge backlash, but it's going to normalize.
Yeah. Long term, I don't know where all this leaves GameStop. Their business isn't changing, so as a company, I think it's kind of a mess. Mike, what do you think, just in terms of what this means for, we're seeing the Reddit memes kind of hit AMC, hitting BlackBerry as well, and our Reddit insider, feel free to chime in, but what are you guys seeing from where all this is headed? Like, is this publicized too much? It does seem like Wall Street Insider or the Reddit bets subchannel, like it seems it's all kind of ruined in terms of like the tips people were getting there too. What are the next steps for Reddit and for, I don't know, these meme stocks in general?
So to speak from, I guess, a memer's perspective, the way these stocks are being pushed, there's a couple of angles people are talking about. Right now, obviously, the majority of them are other stocks that have strong short positions against them. So essentially, it's that whole FOMO effect of like, well, I missed out on GameStop. What's that next big play? And so people are pushing things like AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, and BlackBerry for that reason. Not saying that any of them are actually good bets. It's more the fact that everyone wants to see what that next play will really truly be.
Right.
However, none of them have that same amount of float that GameStop does. None of them have the same amount of short position that GameStop does. And so anyone who understands what this current play is, they realize it is short term. They realize this is just a short squeeze, that they're trying to replicate what happened to VW in 2008 and what happened to Tilray in 2018. All they're hoping for is that there's just going to be this major pop. The hedge funds will lose. They'll have to cover their short positions, and that people ideally set a limit sell for themselves at that comfortable price, get out, and they don't lose their life savings. As for where the next stocks go from there and how Wall Street Bets goes forward, no one will ever be able to predict that, because the beauty of it is it's unpredictable.
That sounds heartening. Yeah.
What a voice of reason.
Thank you, Mysterious Insider. We're going to move on to some like not as depressing game news, but also something pretty, I don't know, just dumb, because last Friday, as I was like writing stuff and really focused on reviews, Microsoft just quietly announced that they were going to try to increase the price of Xbox Live Gold. They were trying to increase the $1 or the 1 month plan by $1 to $11, and the 3 month plan to $30 from $25. The 6 months plan was going to jump from $60 or from $40 to $60. Effectively making a full year of Xbox Live Gold $120, which is insane, because they actually used to sell an annual subscription for $60. They actually stopped selling that digitally. You could still find the annual codes around. Amazon's still selling them too. But yeah, for the most part, I think for a lot of people who play maybe on or off, or maybe more casual players, like they rely on these cards. They don't want to give their credit card over to Microsoft because they just want to pick up something either with cash or when they're in the store. I think for a lot of these gamers, it does seem like Microsoft was trying to screw them. Fast forward like 5 or 6 hours. It didn't take very long. Microsoft retracted these plans entirely because the internet exploded, because everybody was saying, this is insane. Why are you doing this? We're still in the middle of a pandemic. Microsoft backtracked completely, and they announced that free-to-play games like Fortnite, you're not going to need any Xbox Live subscription to even play those anymore, that's also a big problem Microsoft had, because unlike PlayStation, you still had to pay money to play Fortnite with other people, even though Fortnite is a free-to-play game. That always seemed insane to me and kind of tied to the earlier, like the way Xbox Live was founded. Rewind to the Xbox 360, right? Like they were doing online stuff, networking, multiplayer in a more unified and cohesive way than Sony or Nintendo for sure. And you kind of had to pay for that because it was all running on Microsoft servers. Now things are a little different. Mike, I'm just wondering, like, from your perspective, why the hell did Microsoft even do this? It's such a dangerous time for them to get any ill will. Why do this?
Yeah, I think that the timing on this was probably not terribly well thought out. But the reason, if I had to guess, and we track this a lot, and we've been following Microsoft. Microsoft has, for the past couple of years, and going all the way back into the beginning of the Xbox One era, where they stopped reporting sales for the Xbox One consoles, they started looking at usership. Microsoft has been leaning towards and is now fully invested in an ecosystem style approach. So they don't see Xbox One or Xbox Series consoles as their market. They see consoles and PC, and now moving into mobile with xCloud as their whole addressable market and as part of the Xbox ecosystem. So when you think about the different aspects and the different services that Microsoft has put in place, Game Pass being a big one, Game Pass, especially Game Pass Ultimate, which lumps everything in together, covers you on your console, covers you on your PC, gives you xCloud, includes Xbox Live. The other challenge is once Microsoft got back into PC, they had a problem to begin with. As soon as they started doing that, they had a big issue because they knew they were never going to get people to pay for online multiplayer on PC. That would have been bonkers. And they didn't try to do it, which is smart. But now they've got this mismatch between console and PC that has been going on for a while. Xbox Live no longer fits Microsoft's view of the market.
It's archaic. Yeah.
So, the first thing they did was they moved video apps in front of the paywall, because Netflix used to be behind the Xbox Live paywall.
Okay.
And they moved, just now they announced late, I agree, that free-to-play games. I think we are going to see Xbox Live fade away in some way. And this was part of their attempt to create a value gap.
Yeah.
They've been increasing value on the Game Pass side. If they decrease the value of Xbox Live, the idea is we'll push more people into Game Pass because it's such an obvious solution.
I do feel like some nerd in Excel was just like, if I tick this price up this much, this many consumers will shift over and it'll solve all our problems and our revenues will increase and yada, yada, yada. Not thinking of the human aspect of people saying, what the hell are you doing? We need these things. This is a good time to be consumer friendly and not just try to like nickel and dime us. Sherlyn, I know you're thinking about jumping into console land. You already have a Switch. Does any of this make sense to you? Or is this is this fiasco even leading you more to PlayStation than Xbox?
A little bit. I mean, I still haven't made my decision. I might get both, but I pay for Nintendo's whatever online thingy, which is like,
exactly. It's cheap enough that it doesn't matter.
Exactly, right? So it's like a good price. Like $120 would give me pause because that's like a whole other Netflix. But I will say that the only thing I really learned from this entire fiasco, I guess, was the power of the people, right? This is the theme for today. It's people apparently have a lot of power. They just band together and shout at a company or buy a certain stock like loud enough.
Exactly. And let's be clear, I don't think Sony is doing this super well either. Like in many ways, PlayStation Plus has been chasing Xbox Live. Their multiplayer is still not as good or unified. And here's the thing. We've talked about this quite a bit. Game Pass is such a great deal. Game Pass Ultimate is a fantastic deal. It's a little more than Xbox Live on its own, but you get a subscription of games and you get some actual free games to play. You get xCloud support, which I don't know if people are really into that yet, but it works, and it works pretty well. It is astounding to me that Microsoft would do anything to take away from the fact that, hey, we have the best deal in gaming. And also when they're so vulnerable after a new console launch, when they don't have many exclusives too. Like this should be the point where they're just like really protecting themselves. And I have no idea who even thought this was a great idea. But the internet quickly said no, and I guess we're seeing more of that. Any further thoughts, Mike, about things like this? Because it's not like, I don't think users can always just shout down price increases, but I do think this one was particularly dumb, and maybe that's it. Like, you can't do these things without a real plan anymore.
Yeah, I think that Microsoft underestimated how vocal that, and they have the numbers. They know how many Xbox Live subscribers, how many people have moved over. I assume that people who are just Xbox Live subscribers is a much smaller number now. And people took advantage of those Game Pass deals where it's like spend $1 and just convert all of your Xbox Live time over into Game Pass Ultimate time. I think they underestimated people who don't want subscription services. They want to own their games, whether that's digitally or physically.
Yeah.
They want to just play a couple of games a year, or only play free-to-play games. And like, I'm already paying you to play Fortnite with my friends.
Exactly.
And I could on PlayStation, they're playing for free. And now you're going to up the cost. And all I care about is like Fortnite and Warframe. That's not a good deal. So that group of people was very vocal, as Sherlyn said. And that won out. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. But yeah, Sherlyn, any closing thoughts? I think now is the time where you're going to start to learn like what you actually have to pay to be a member of these console communities. And normally it's good with Microsoft. This just seems like a big brain fart from them.
Yeah, you're right. Games are expensive. Like,
yeah.
What? Why do you pay $40 for a game? But
$40.
Sometimes, I don't know, 35, 40, 60.
No, they're 60 and more now. And new next-gen games are 70. So, yeah.
That's expensive as crap. But the whole thing that y'all were like, get an Xbox, Sherlyn. You won't pay too much for a Sherlyn.
You won't.
Yeah, but here we go. No, but thankfully, what's that, right? And this sort of sorted itself out. But it does sort of hint to me that things aren't going to always be the same way. Just to kind of know that gaming is maybe an expensive hobby. I don't know.
It's very much an expensive hobby. I think this is a good lesson. Like, you have to add value, people. You can't take it away. Nintendo's smart thing was like, their service is really, really cheap. Cheap enough that you forget about it, but also occasionally you just get free games. Like, hey, here's a new Mario weird multiplayer thing that we've been working on. It just feels like a gift. It feels like they're constantly giving you something. And I think Game Pass kind of feels that way too. Nickel and diming people for a subscription, even though maybe not as many people are on Xbox Live anymore as they used to be. It's not a good idea. So I hopefully all this makes these game companies take a step back and think about what they do before they announce them, because consumers aren't afraid to say no now. All right, let's take a break here and we can do some Q&A with our audience. Hello, people.
So if you have any questions about anything that we talked about, don't ask us for stock tips because we are not brokers. But if you have any questions about, like, if you need another clarification about what a naked short is or something, Mike has been very nice to stay with us for a little bit. So if you have any questions, please ask them.
I saw one from, sorry, I don't know if you've been banking already, but I saw one from Bryant Mitchell that said, how is this different from how people were treating Bitcoin? Mike, any thoughts?
I think there was this conflict aspect of this situation where Wall Street Bets was very aggressively targeting short sellers, and there has been this underdog feel to Wall Street Bets. I think there is some worry that, again, as the deck is stacked against retail traders, is stacked against the little guy or the dumb money, that the SEC is going to step in and be like, okay, well, you guys were colluding, and therefore you were actively trying to push another party to buy or sell, which is against the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Now, that would be really terrible if all of a sudden we're leveraging the laws that are in place against Wall Street Bets when the laws that we have in place against things like the subprime mortgage crisis and selling toxic assets, if those weren't applied in a way that people felt was fair. There was I don't think there's anybody who was affected by the 2008-2009 crisis that walked away from that feeling good about the banking industry. I think we walked away and felt nobody's paying for this. We were all hurt. Nobody is there's no reckoning here, and there's no regulatory change in a meaningful way. I remember having to answer some more questions during our audits for nonprofit. Like, is somebody? Oh wait, but that was even in the wake of Enron. Like, that wasn't even this. There hasn't been major regulatory change that has satisfied that need for justice, that need for equity. that I think a lot of us who are scarred by what happened in 2008 and 2009 need and feel, and that's part of where this came from. I think Bitcoin is
it's a very different thing.
To make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very different.
Yeah, and the Bitcoin thing, like too, like the motivation behind it was like, hey, it's this new philosophy, it's decentralized digital money, and it seemed like it got the tech bros in a very different way than the stock finance bros. And you can't really mine Bitcoin on your own anymore because that was a thing 10 years ago, and I believe those coins don't exist anymore, right? You need like server level, you need something powerful to even mine anymore. So what Bitcoin has certainly changed, but it is another story of like people who put $10,000 into something 10 years ago and now sat back and all of a sudden they're very rich. This is even faster because the GameStop thing happened within months,
GameStop. Anybody else looking at that ticker?
Yeah,
what's happening?
Dropping like crazy.
Fell to 297 right now. So the thing that I was thinking about just in the last 24 hours or so is that the last time I felt like this is when I watched Twitch play Pokemon.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So like I'm on these threads, like our Wall Street Bets insider mentioned, I've been like following the Reddit user page for Deep Effin' Value, who pretty much kicked off a lot of the stuff about this. And let's be clear about it also. He's not doing anything that's saying like, oh, please pump up this stock, it's a really good value. He just made a crazy thing. He made a crazy
It's like, let's do it for the lulz.
Yes.
Yeah.
He posted it on Reddit. Everyone is like, man, that looks pretty sad. Last night I was looking at a thread that or a version of his position that he posted maybe in like October or November of last year, and people were like, man, like you really just have 2 brain cells, don't you? Look who's smart now. So,
well, I hope can he actually exit? Like, can he get the money if he leaves?
So apparently he sold about 300 options just yesterday, so he's banked $13 million.
I mean,
right now, he, just on paper, he's up 50 million. That was as of close of market yesterday. That does not reflect the current price right now. But to be clear, it doesn't seem like it's a pump and dump or anything.
Yeah,
it's just this one guy making this crazy play because he probably had a bit of information. He was probably the one who did the research on all of this, and everyone is going bananas around him, and he's making a ton of money because he was one of the first ones in. I can only imagine how much the Chewy guy is up by right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. I can just imagine like Adam McKay, the guy who's been, he did The Big Short. He's just like foaming at the mouth to make a very convoluted comedy about this whole situation. I'm sure somebody's going to movify it. I hope it's not him because I've not liked those movies, but hey, that's the thing. Are we ready to move on to news, or do we have more questions?
I think we pretty much have. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. But like, it's exciting in the same way as Twitch plays Pokemon. That's
sure. There's a lot more at stake.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's so much more. Yeah, I do think it was funny. By the way, the New York Times had a great piece about it by Taylor Lawrence yesterday, where the final line was just like a doctor saying like, I don't feel bad about this because the banks were never punished for 2008, and his wife was just like, eat the rich. And hey, let's make that our slogan for the next decade.
Print that in the paper?
They printed it, and that was his wife. That's the final quote from the New York Times story. I wonder if they're a little self-reflective about that, about what that means. But anyway, let's move on to news. Sherlyn, I could we've talked too much about all the finance stuff, so why don't you like lead news shit?
Mike, though, do you have any?
Oh yeah.
Things to say to Mike before we let her go, or
let's let me wrap you completely to Mike so people can know where to find you. Okay.
Great. Let's see. I'm on Twitter at
wait. Let me ask.
Yeah,
let me ask you.
This is going to end up getting tacked on to the very end
to the other bit
segment.
Okay.
This stuff.
Mike Futter, thank you so much for joining us on the Engadget Podcast. Where can people find you on the internet these days?
Let's see. I'm on Twitter at Futterish, Futterish. I have a podcast with my partner Amanda Farrow that is every Saturday called Virtual Economy, and we're
Great
on
show,
Twitter.
by the way.
Thank
Great
you.
show. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you can get us at virtualeconcast.com. We're also on Twitter at virtualeconcast. And then our consulting business is fsquared.biz.
Awesome. Thank you. And hope to chat with you again, Mike. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Mike, can you save that? Is he gone?
No,
I'm here.
Mike
Okay.
is gone.
Just save that audio, by the way.
Sure thing.
Yeah,
Save
make
your
sure-
audio, put it on like a a large file transfer thing and email it to me, and I'll send it to Ben.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll do that right now.
Thanks,
Okay.
Ben.
Have a good one. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Good chat. Bye.
So, Sherlyn, if you want to just come in like it's a new segment, do it when you're ready.
All you.
All right. So I know GameStop kind of hogged all the attention this week, but there was some other news. This is, after all, a tech podcast. So welcome to some news from tech. First of all, Apple early this week on Monday actually launched this thing called Time to Walk. It's part of the new, well, it's part of Fitness Plus. It's part of Workout, sort of. And it's almost sort of like a podcast that you can take with you and go on walks with. I don't know if you heard about this, Devindra, but basically,
I did. Yeah.
Dolly Parton, if you want to.
Dolly's great. By the way, great time for people to really start to acknowledge how great Dolly Parton is. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good timing.
Oh yeah. The amount of stuff she's done for this world.
Mhm.
So Dolly Parton is one of the biggest names attached to Time to Walk. The first 4 episodes are now live. You got Shawn Mendes, Draymond Green, and some others. Big names are also being added. And it seems to be it's only for Apple Watch owners. Again, this is really like part of Fitness Plus, which is only if you have Apple Watch.
So it's like it is a thing for you to walk with, right? You're hearing them tell stories
So
while you're just chilling.
Yeah, and I've checked some of these out. So, for example, the Dolly Parton one, you listen to it with your AirPods on and whatever, and she'll tell you like a story from her life, and you can hear that she's walking too in the sounds of the clips, and she'll just these like meaningful life stories with life lessons. In one of hers is a story about how her dad keeps her grounded. I won't spoil the story for some of you guys, but it's about her being so famous and yet her dad is like unfazed by it. And then you still listen to some of the music from some of these, like introduced by some of these people. So
is it like you're actually going for a walk with her? Is that the feeling?
Yeah, it tracks the workout, but she doesn't tell you like turn left, turn right, and not that sort of thing, right? It's not like a guided route. It's more like you're walking with a friend and having a conversation with a friend one way. But by the way, the music example, so Draymond Green, talks about one of the songs that's played during his clip is Drake's 7 Rings, I think, and 7 Big Rings or 7 Rings is Ariana Grande. Anyhow,
I don't know. You're beyond me right now. Yeah.
Welcome to young people land. But Draymond explains the song a little bit where like it's right after the song was released right after his team had won the national championship or something, and they all got their rings for the first time, and that song meant something to him. So it's really interesting stuff like that. Check it out if you have a watch. It doesn't cost anything at the moment. So
I almost wonder if they're exploring like new things you can do with audio, because here the weird thing about podcasting, and it also feels weird saying this as a podcast, but Apple helped make it a thing, and they kind of didn't know what to do with it for so long when podcasts were introduced into iTunes, and as part of it was even pre-iPhone, like it was a thing you would download on your iPod and walk with. That's why they're called podcasts. And they failed to monetize it. They failed to like curate podcasts really well. I think they finally kind of got there, but even I don't think their podcast app at this point can even keep up with the stuff we're seeing from Pocket Cast and everybody. So, but being able to leverage other aspects of your devices and things like, hey, what if actually you could coordinate any podcast you're listening to with your step counts, and have like a readout of what that is. Especially now, like it would encourage more people to go outside, right? So that's nice.
Yeah, I think the idea of interactive podcasts would be cool, especially one that like notices your step count hit a certain milestone and is like, congratulations, you now have unlocked this next bit of the story.
Right.
Who knows?
You must walk 5,000 steps before you get to part 2.
Exactly. Isn't that cool?
Otherwise you can't listen to it.
you can find me on Twitter. But the one downside to this that I've noticed a few people bring up, and it's rightly so, is that these episodes or these stories, Time to Walk, are downloaded directly to your device. Apple automatically downloads the first 4 or 5 or so, and then it will like replace the old episodes with new ones whenever they're released. So this space is dedicated on your watch to these stories. I mean, it's Dan Seifert tweeted out like, or was it Dan Seifert, I believe, tweeted it out like, oh, it would be great for this Time to Walk to join the U2 album that Apple automatically downloads to my phone. Exactly.
There's that. Except this is something you're choosing, right? So, and so I have an Apple Watch Series 4. Apple Watches have a decent amount of storage. I don't put music locally on my Apple Watch, so I actually wouldn't mind if this is a little bit of something there.
Yeah, it won't clog up your storage. Apple has thought about that. But if you look, Devendra, if you, by the way, just open up your Apple Watch, you go to the workout app, you'll see it pop up at the top now.
I'll go dust off my workout app, which has never been tapped before.
But yeah, so if you guys check out Time to Walk, home fitness is so like, this is outdoor fitness, but people are interested in fitness, I guess, nowadays, even more so with the resolutions and stuff going around. So this is a nice time for Apple to launch something like that, I guess. But more tech news. We got Sony making a bunch of news in the space this week. For people who love the Xperia phones, I think you should have seen the news about the $2,500 Xperia Pro 5G. This is like a high-end phone designed just for content creators, right? Like Sony has been differentiating itself with the Xperia phones for years with like better video features, better video qualities for a while. Like they were the first to put 960 FPS in a phone for slow-mo.
Because they make the sensors everybody uses, right? Like everybody uses Sony camera sensors.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. In those phones. So, but they have good software to boot in addition to the hardware. Well, I guess depending on your preferences, it's good software. But this is the Xperia Pro, obviously $2,500, not meant for everyone. It's really just for people who were interested in the red hydrogen one, but maybe want something that they, can use and share, I feel like. And I don't know if you guys remember the red hydrogen one, Devendra, if you remember the graphic phone.
Yep. I do remember that because I think it was Silicon Valley, the final season of it. The douchey billionaire VC guy, he was the only person I've ever seen on TV with the red hydrogen one, but that was like one little bit of set dressing. I was like, oh, perfect. Yes, of course he would have that dumb phone. That's
a perfect character detail, but yeah. Yes, so this phone, I mean, check it out. Chris Velasco wrote it up on our site. It's got like Snapdragon 865. It's like a slightly better Xperia one.
Isn't it? Just from the write-up, it seems like this is built to be a camera buddy kind of phone, right? Not really just your personal phone, but something you would attach to a big camera to have like either live stream support for 5G. It could be a hotspot. It could also give you another lens to live stream from, right?
Right. And then meanwhile, if you just wanted a phone that you could take with you everywhere, just in case you had to be at the ready to shoot, really great content, it's there too. And then 5G, obviously, when the promises of 5G do come through, then it can tap those speeds and give you like really good high-end live streaming, maybe.
It's a smart idea. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a buddy phone. Yeah.
So then the other thing that Sony announced was the A1. It's a full-frame mirrorless. Obviously, people love Sony cameras. Just wanted to give it a quick shout if you're an aspiring vlogger like I might be.
This is a 50-megapixel camera that can shoot 8K video. It sounds insane. Yeah,
it's insane. Plus, it can shoot 30 FPS at burst. Pictures, 30 FPS. I remember when I was covering cameras, when like 10 to 12 bursts frames per second was like
oh, nice.
Like,
this will cost you quite a bit, right? This thing is $6,500.
Not for the typical vlogger, maybe for the vlogger that's ready to go to TV. You know what I mean? But it's an interesting device again from Sony. So I just saw these things on my Twitter feed, and people are obviously, to me, interested about it. And
how do you feel about Sony's full frame cameras, Sherlyn? Because I know you have an older DSLR. I'm in Sony's mirrorless family right now. Yeah. I have the A6000. I need something a little more.
Right. for mirrorless, I think Sony is one of the better ones out there. I mean, like, again, in a former life, I reviewed cameras. Sony had really good image quality, good software, but I'm always have been a Canon girl, and it's like I bought my first DSLR in, I don't know, 2006, I don't know, but like, it's really personal preference a lot of the time. Sony has done a lot of their mirrorless stuff is very good. I'm not sure about any of their other higher end stuff. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I think since I started doing tech writing, I've just loved the look of the Sony cameras. And I think that's one thing aesthetically. I like the idea of like this tiny little camera body and like a big sensor or a big lens, and it's kind of uneven, but I also feel like it is just cool aesthetically, and they have really good autofocus. So I'm stuck in the Sony ecosystem. People tell me Canon and Fuji are better, and I'm sure they are, but I also have like a telephoto, and I have a pancake lens, and I have all sorts of stuff. So I kind of need to be here for now. Still waiting for that perfect. I feel like Sony's exploring many different things. Still waiting for like a good full frame that's a little smaller. I think Steve Dent just reviewed one for us. I forget the model number. But yeah, I'm just looking for an upgrade. I need 4K video soon, I think. Yeah.
I just remember one of these dead gadgets that we had an episode about didn't talk about. I completely forgot it existed. It's so dead. It's when Samsung made like a Galaxy camera.
Oh God.
Yeah. Camera. Oh man, this was back when I covered cameras. But and then they made this tiny little like cute little pocket camera, and it was like a really great f1.8 lens built in, very similar.
Back when people were making pocket cameras, right? Like HTC had built one. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. And it was very similar to Sony's RX100 series, except for bad. But anyway, speaking of bad Samsung decisions, this week we also learned, for some reason, Samsung decided to let people know this week that the S21 Ultra uses a low power OLED. And
that sounds like a good thing, isn't it?
It's a thing. Just a few of us, like, this is really a personal complaint, but a few of us in the industry were like, did Samsung tell us this when they launched?
Yeah.
We would have talked about it, but it does explain a lot of the why the S21 Ultra lasts a lot longer or gets better battery life than the S21 and S21 Plus. No one seems to have reviewed the S21 Plus just yet, but the S21 doesn't seem to have as good battery life as the S21 Ultra. So if you're still making that decision, because some of these phones have been delayed, the S21 and S21 Plus have been delayed till February, you can maybe if battery life is a huge concern to you, the S21 Ultra does seem like it has better like battery life to offer.
If you can afford it,
if you
super expensive phone,
$100 for it. Yeah, I mean everything else in tech news has been dominated by GameStop and stuff. We've got Garmin announced a new watch that they say is their small as ever and is made for small wrists. Good for you. And then formerly from OnePlus, I believe, announced this thing called Nothing. So basically, Carl Pei announced Nothing.
I hate this. Okay.
Like, essentially.
Thank you. I hate it.
Yeah. Yes. So there you go. A little bit of like a
what is Nothing? Do we know? Is it anything?
We do know it's a company name, I believe. He's just announced it, and the tagline is "Nothing is removing the barriers between people and technology."
I hate it.
And that sort of stuff. Like they're making connected devices. We're going to see this first smart devices, according to the press release.
The first phone you have to jam into your arm. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Removing the barriers. Yeah.
There you go. Put it in my face. Just stick it in my face. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, there you go. Welcome to an update from the world of tech.
All right. Thank you, Sherlyn. Let's move on to what we've been working on. The Sundance Film Festival is kicking off this week. Both Sherlyn and I will be doing some coverage out of that. It is entirely virtual, but I think what's really cool and interesting this year is that they've built this VR platform that you can just access if you have a headset. It is a WebXR thing. So you go to a website and it kind of launches you into the Sundance experience. People on laptops and desktops can join you too, like in a 2D interface, and you can interact with them. I did a preview. It is like, based on what I've seen, it is kind of basic. Like it's not like a high quality, super, it's not gonna be like Half-Life Alyx level VR, but it's a really interesting way to sit and talk with people, especially like after a screening or something. It feels more social to me than a Zoom call, right? Like, and there's just a lot you could do with it. You can, if you're on a PC, you can flip on your webcam and your little avatar head will just be your live video, and you can talk with people who are in VR. Unfortunately, you can't do that in VR. Sherlyn is putting on her Oculus Quest 2 right now. That's how we're going to be Sundancing. Check out for coverage. We'll have more stuff later this week and probably more next week. I generally like covering film festivals when we look at like VR stuff, and we haven't been able to do that this year at all. So this is a fun thing. We haven't been able to like go to the New York Film Festival or Tribeca or anything. So look for more Sundance coverage for us. Our first time doing like significant Sundance coverage in a long time. I'm excited. Shirley, I know you have a couple things you want to see too.
Oh yeah, I mean we're gonna see a lot of them in the next few days. I have that Oculus ready to go. I am excited. Like you said, it does sound like a more social experience than typical VR experience.
Mhm.
So I want to say I haven't really checked it out just yet, but I also have other things to review that have arrived. Oh, it's like great, thanks a lot. Maybe you guys can help me decide what I should review next, because I want to know if there's any interest in something before we commit to reviewing, although there are some things that we decide on our own. Anyway, I have a new laptop. It's like a ThinkPad X1 series. If y'all are interested, you tell me, because then I'll review.
Can you say which one it is, or is that embargoed?
I'm pretty sure I can. There's been reviews of it out already. It's the ThinkPad X1 Nano. It's one of the lightest ThinkPads yet. And another thing, should we we've already covered the Garmin Lily watch, but should we give it a bit more time and devote like a full review? You guys let us know. Send us obviously your thoughts to podcast@engadget.com or tweet me. You can find out later on what my Twitter handle is. But yeah, I got things to do, you know?
You got things to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're not going to be slowing down anytime soon. It still feels like I'm recovering from CES, even though that ended 2 or 3 weeks ago, but that was just such a mad rush of work. Let's move on to our pop culture picks for the week. Sherlyn, what are yours? It sounds like you already like claimed one before I could even write it down the list. God damn it.
I was so nervous because I saw you tweet about this and I was like, damn it, I'm just gonna try to recommend this. I better like claim it. So I claimed The White Tiger. It is a film on Netflix, and it stars, I can't remember all of the names offhand, but it stars and is produced in part by Priyanka Chopra. Well, I guess she's titled as Priyanka Chopra Jonas now, because
oh god, don't even remind me.
But it's really gripping, harrowing, at times hard to watch film about this man who, you know, grew up in, I guess, the slums. I don't even know what the right word, the villages of India.
A very, very low caste man who was so it's a movie that confronts the caste system of India in a very direct way. It is very Parasite. You know, it's like Parasite in India. Maybe Parasite meets the Joker in a way, but yeah, that's basically it. What are your thoughts, Rowland?
I really liked it, and I was talking with this with some friends, and it makes me confront a lot of very difficult issues, right? I'm a person who likes science fiction films because they often look very polished. They're not very gritty. But this is one of those where it is in your face, the toughness of life. It's about the weaknesses of human nature. It's just about so many, I love deep topics, and there's so many deep thoughts going on here. Racism for me was one of the things that kept coming up, because Singapore is sort of like a multiracial country, and we have a lot of we have native and local Indian people, but we also have Indian immigrants come to work in Singapore too. And a lot of the way that they're being treated, this movie depicts a lot of lower caste people as being treated, is, I think, reminiscent of some of the ways that people are being treated in lots of other parts of Asia. So it's just eye-opening. It's a great story. It's a triumphant story, obviously, towards, you know, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but although it's hard to watch, you kind of still have to keep watching.
It's funny. It's energetic. It has like a Goodfellas vibe too, where it's like, oh, this is how I rose through a world of crime or something, or, you know, stepped away from the slums. There's a lot going on. I don't think it's as like polished as a movie like Parasite, and it is maybe a little philosophically messy too, because I've talked to, you know, a couple other reviewers who, you know, especially Indian reviewers, who are like, is this kind of poverty porn too? I think for a lot of viewers, this is going to be a way to confront the caste system of India and the sheer level of poverty that exists in that country, while there's a middle class that exists that just kind of ignores them and treats these people like garbage. I think it's a fascinating movie. Yeah, just in that respect. And do want to shout out, it is directed by Iranian American director Ramin Bahrani, who he did this great documentary called Man Push Cart. Like he is one of my
that one.
yeah, he's one of my favorite kind of indie directors. He did 99 Homes, Chop Shop, also that terrible Fahrenheit 451 adaptation on HBO. So I'm glad he's kind of rebounding from a bad adaptation to something that is like meaningful and interesting. So yeah. Anything else, Charlene?
But yes, I have one more recommendation because I wanted to still have a surprise for you, but this isn't really much of a surprise. I discovered that Emmanuel Acho, who is this football player who launched a YouTube series called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, he has a book also titled Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And I've been reading it. I'm about like 40% in, and it's just really, really good. It's like a more... like it's a different version of the YouTube series where like there's more, I think, not just more research, but it's just like an easier way to digest some of what he's being like trying to tell you. If you prefer reading written words versus listening to someone talk, I guess, on YouTube, where you just don't like the YouTubes, I think this is a really good. It's been very eye-opening, already very educational, very informative. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything that he says. And obviously Emmanuel Acho doesn't represent every Black person, but I like his approach, right? Every chapter starts with a difficult question that one of his viewers has asked. Like, when is it okay to ever use the N words, for example, is a question that was asked in the book. And he not only takes you through the yeses and nos or answers to question, but he also gives you kind of the historical context, and then he gets to why it's so difficult to talk about, and then he tells you, so what do you do? So it's like it's a very structured approach. I really like that, and I love learning a lot about, because I don't know these things. I just don't know about country's history as much as a lot of other people who have
Singapore, a very diverse place, but I don't know how many Black people actually ended up in Singapore. You know, it's a very tough thing to see.
No, very, very few. So if any. So this is my way of learning about this country's like very problematic history and present. So I like...
Hey, I'm glad. I want more people to do this research. Yeah, please.
I think so. And I think that if you're still we shouldn't stop educating ourselves. So if you're still wanting to learn more about racial injustice and just perspectives of different people, check it out.
Cool. I want to shout out on Hulu is this new special called Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself, which is it is a film version by Frank Oz, by the way, one of my favorite directors and actors, the voice of Yoda, you know, the voice of many, many Muppets. But when he directs something, he also like is a really interesting artist. So this is his film version of sort of a magic show, but almost like it is a really new type of way of doing magic, because it's also a show that's about identity and exploring who you are and how you identify yourself and how other people see you. It is almost like a religious sermon in a way, where he asks people to confront themselves and their identities. So I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to spoil anything. I do think if you guys like my recommendations in general, you should go watch this. It's on Hulu. Just go watch it. It is fantastic. And also at some point, go watch our interview. We got to interview Frank Oz several years ago at South by Southwest, and that's still one of the most fun things I've done at Engadget, because he's just like a mensch, just like a really nice guy. Because he also did a documentary about the voices behind the Muppets. I believe it was Muppets Guys Talking. Great video, and he was just super nice. And even like as we were starting that interview, he does this thing as like a professional voice actor. He has to clear his throat. But he did this like loud scream call. He just like made a loud noise. And I thought, oh my God, did we kill Frank Oz? Because like right at the beginning of our interview, and then he smiled like a little Yoda grin or something. It was kind of fun. So yeah.
Any attention, if any.
Seriously. And it was also in like an open room with like all the other media recording things too. So I'm like, did we ruin something for somebody along the way? Anyway, check out Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself on Hulu. I'm sure you'd all love it. Yeah. And Charlene, I think you can take us out.
Yep. Well, that's it for the episode this week, everyone. Thank you as always for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our very own Terrence O'Brien. This podcast is produced by Ben Elman. You can find Devendra online
at Devendra on Twitter, and also podcasts about movies and TV at the/filmcast at /film.com.
If you want to invest a little time in interacting with me, I'm at Sherlyn Lowe on Twitter. Email us your thoughts and feedback at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review, please, on iTunes, and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. And subscribe on anything that gets podcasts, including Spotify. All
okay,
right.
We're clear.
Questions.
Let me just say to everyone watching, my favorite part is just watching Sherlyn make up however she's going to ask people to contact her, because that is off the dome every single
off the dome.
I do. I was like towards the end when every time I intro Devendra, I'm glad he goes on a spiel because I'm like, okay, I have time to think. What am I saying this week?
Yeah, it goes off for about 30 seconds on all of his different side hustles. So earlier in the chat, someone allegedly said that they put 100,000 on GameStop this morning and just lost 14,000. The current stock price is $217. That is about
Please stop, people.
125, 100. Yeah.
Between it's only going to go down from here. Don't be stupid.
It's going down because people are catching on. Or I guess I don't know.
Ooh.
It's at 153 right now.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm watching a different ticker, I guess, but I'm not sure where we're getting that information. But yes, the stocks are definitely going right now.
This is going to be a bloodbath today. God, yeah.
I like that there's a lot of people in our chat who saw GameStop and GME, all of that in our title and are here, and they're very disappointed because we're
welcome to actual tech talk.
Yes, it's not just people talking about GameStop specifically, and it's also not just people talking about games specifically. Also talking about like mirrorless cameras and things like that.
But hey, since you're here already, you might as well join, because there's a good conversation every week about a different topic. You know, next week, who knows? It might be computing. And the week after, it might be...
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Well, yes, but like, who knows? There was that thing that I saw this one tweet last night that was like, here are the 4 Wednesdays in January. It was the Capitol riot. It was the impeachment. It was the presidential inauguration, and then GameStop.
Yep. Exactly. But if you guys have any questions about, I don't know, what we're doing, Sundance, devices you want to see us review, I mean, if you still want to send us your SEC related questions, you can.
No, please don't. I don't. I'm done talking about this. This is our one finance episode of the year. Never doing it again.
I wouldn't mind talking about finance because I just know some of it, but let's save that for like on my Twitter. That's what I mean. Some time in Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you want to elucidate on why you aren't doing fun names on Twitter anymore?
Oh, yeah. I mentioned this on Twitter. I realized fairly recently that I love doing puns on my name on Twitter. So I queue up a few, I come up with ideas. So I had like one of my most popular was when I did Avengers Assemble. Like sure, like my name.
Okay.
And this was, I timed it around the time of Endgame like releasing, right? But then I realized that it wasn't working really well with people who use screen readers to access Twitter. So it's people have responded to my tweet saying that, well, screen readers are broken anyway, and like there's a lot more than your confusing names that needs to be fixed. I'm like, yeah, but I can still do my little bit to try to help make things a little easier for people. So I'm no longer doing pun names on Twitter. If you've been a follower and are disappointed, I am sorry. Inclusive, and we would just tweet them out. Or actually, I've just been changing my bio. So if you want to go see my bio, right now it says Sure Majesty. And there
As I say often, sure. Okay.
Sure. I used to be called Sherlyn. Fun fact, sure. Like a friend used to call me that. Anyway.
Ooh.
Sure.
Hey, I see a new familiar name, Daniel Cockhain. I believe you said his name right last time, Ben. So that was good. They want a review on wireless portable storage, seeing as microSD isn't as much of a thing on mobile devices now. I mean, That's a good show. That's
It's
so
a good thing.
know that.
Wireless though.
So like wireless hard drives that you can access from like phone.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen.
And
Yeah.
wouldn't that be kind of dangerous for losing? Like, if you're transmitting data over the air, that means that there's a possibility for someone to sniff your.
Oh, for sure.
There's all sorts of stuff.
And
that's a good thing to look into, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's all the cautions we would put in a guide like that. That's
because whatever happened to iFi and their SD cards, like I remember that idea was really cool.
Yeah.
It was cool, but the apps never worked really well. And like I knew somebody who would like, every time they took a photo, it would iFi it to their Flickr account or something like automatically, immediately, because they had a hotspot. Maybe for that, for professional photographers, it seemed nice. But if you're actually moving data, like for us, it was bad. Like it was so annoying and kludgy. Yeah.
I'm laughing because Marcel. Sorry. Go ahead.
Let's put a finer point on this. This would be wireless storage that you and you alone have access to. Versus something like iCloud, which is similar, but
a wireless drive next to you, not cloud storage. Although at that point, I'd say just do cloud storage if you really want that backup.
Yeah, I do like the idea of iFi, but we can get.
But I want us to explore the SSD, the external SSD hard drives more, because I do think those are super fast, those are super reliable, especially compared to like a small mechanical. So maybe we'll get a couple of those in. I just want to play with them.
Yeah, I think SanDisk makes a 1 TB like very portable SSD that I love. I believe I have it, and it's like a rugged little thing with a carabiniere. It's great. Anyway, I just burst out laughing because Mark tweeted at me.
Oh, you got a GIF. Yeah.
The GIF of me. GIF.
A GIF.
Yes, there we go.
Graphical interchange format. GIF.
Oh, okay. So
GIF.
I think I was
the creator of it says GIF.
Yes, I think I was talking about this a while ago. Do you guys remember Mike Rugnetta from like the PBS Ideas channel?
Yes.
He was doing for whatever reason, he calls it a GIF, just like to be.
At this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Any more questions?
Because the people who are kind of upset about GameStop and being, a lot of people are very upset about no longer being able to buy it, which.
That's it is helping you right now. They are helping you.
About buying a single GameStop stonk last night just so I could have fun with it. But now that I'm looking at the ticker, I'm very happy that I didn't.
No.
Current price 126, as I may be even lower. We'll see.
Yeah. Every time I hear about Bitcoin crashing, I'm like, is it time for me to buy one?
No. I think right now
because it hasn't been crashing.
$33,000.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, anytime I hear about the price falling, I'm like, maybe I can buy one now and wait for it to go back up. But no, I'm all right.
It's okay.
I don't think, Ben, did you see anything else that you wanted to answer?
No, we everyone got their energy out very early in the show today with just talking about GameStop and everything.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad we had like a conversation to help like clarify all this, because personally, like my brain was just like not processing a lot of what was happening.
Yeah, especially if people are going to be sifting through the wreckage. If nothing more happens with GameStop today, then people might be sifting through the wreckage trying to figure out what actually happened, and so we'll be right there to scoop up all those listens.
Yeah. I'm glad we did Mike did a good job breaking it down. For me, it was always the legal aspect of it that was the most confusing. Just like, I mean, I used to be on Wall Street Bets. I no longer am, but like, I wasn't. I was just like, this is exactly what this Reddit does. It just took off in a very different way this time around. But it was fun to see it. Like, people are still talking about it. I like how like everyone in my tech circles are like now mixing with my finance.
Crazy.
I'm just like,
yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
And let's be really clear. Usually Wall Street Bets is all about people just posting their like catastrophic losses for their stupid stock decisions.
Or good wins occasionally.
It seems rarer.
Very occasionally.
Rarer, yeah.
But like this
fun.
recent play by that one Redditor is the unicorn situation. And so we'll have to see at the end of the trading day today whether or not he sold any at the dip right now or did something truly stupid and maybe bought the dip, and we'll see how that works out for him.
Mark had a great idea when we were talking about Apple's Time to Walk about branching podcasts too, which is great. Yep. And then other people were talking about D-Man, one of our regulars as well, says I should prepare to shell out $70 for Demon's Souls. I forget that's how much games cost.
Yeah.
It depends, right? Because I buy a lot on Switch, and I think Switch games are I think rarely get up to 60, right? Exactly, and it's
usually around 40. Yeah.
Oh boy, so I got to buy the console, then I got to buy the fucking stuff.
That's why I'm saying Game Pass was a better thing, because then you're on a subscription basis.
So speaking of like branching podcasts and everything, just very quickly, like there is this idea in podcasts of dynamic ad insertion, which allows you to put different ads in when different things sell. All you have to do is delineate some kind of like, mid point of the episode where there are ads, so on and so on. There is one show that's actually pretty popular called Welcome to Night Vale that did a very, very interesting experiment. I think it was probably a couple of years ago by now.
I remember.
Where, instead of having an ad dynamically inserted, it actually randomized endings to an episode. So depending on just when you happen to hit download, it would, maybe hit a random number generator or something and give you one of 3 different endings, which is really, really interesting. And apparently, I don't think that any podcast has done anything with that.
It's very hard to do, right? Because the dynamic ads comes through the people, like the ad side, the people actually managing our files. They can like plug in, things as need be. But if you wanted to create your own alternate endings, you would have to do it manually. Basically, I don't know if there's a way to do it. Like you would be like, okay, I'm going to upload this file from 12 to 4 a.m. then another file from 4 to 8 a.m., and then that's kind of how it would go through. I don't know.
It's but that part is frustrating then. Like, why couldn't that be built into one of the podcasting platforms?
I think so right now we have show notes, right? And like, that's the basic thing. You could get text and you could get links. And I do feel like the next stage would be make it more like a dynamic thing. Like the way a YouTube would just end with overlays of other eps or something, like I think it's more like how Spotify, right? Like as you're playing Spotify on your phone, you'll either get like a little music video or some facts or some other stuff or lyrics sometimes. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know. I'd be into that.
Shout out to Kevin King, who says they're a Redditor and going to Reddit. If you guys have any questions for the Reddit side of things, we still have our Redditor around to answer any of those questions.
He's back in
with the very styled hair. But if you wanted to know if it's cool to be on Wall Street Bets now or not, maybe I don't know. I don't think we had a lot of like questions other than like people just really commenting on like the big companies versus the little people.
I think so. The main takeaway, by the way, is this story isn't over. We don't know what the broader impact on the market is going to be, and as much as good God.
Although I did see like one article that crossed my feed just while we were recording was I didn't know about this until I just saw it. Apparently, part of Robinhood's the way they make money is by taking user data and selling it to big hedge funds about what retail investors are buying before they fully execute the user's trades, which is entirely against the idea of, I think that activists have actually taken over this idea of the GameStop short squeeze. I think that it was just a kind of stupid thing that this one person was doing. And then when people realized, oh, you could actually hurt some big hedge funds by doing this, then other people came in and maybe tried to commandeer the entire narrative by saying, oh, this is actually about hitting big bankers where it hurts. Well, if you're trading on Robinhood, maybe you're not actually hitting them where it hurts because you're literally just giving them information about where your, half of your weekly paycheck is going, especially if you're a lower wage worker.
No, that's definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for questions.
Yeah, let's wrap. I also have to run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
At some point.
Go for it. Yeah. So thanks as usual for joining us, everyone. Our usuals. I want to shout out the names, I guess. Mark Dell, D-Man, Steven Saha, Daniel Calkin, a new common name that we see. Thanks for returning. We're glad to see y'all here.
Thanks, everyone. Tell your friends, and I don't know, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because then you can actually tell when like new stuff is dropping. So that's
hit the bell.
Things would be useful. Yeah, ring that bell. Mike, or sorry, not Mike. Ben, do you want to shout the video credits?
Yes, because our video team did a really good job.
So great.
Yeah.
So this stream comes to you via our video team, which is led by Kyle Mock, with Owen Davidoff, Julio Barrientos, and Luke Brooks. But again, it's powered by everyone in the chat. Everyone in the chat are the ones who make all of this fun. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, folks. And also thanks to our anonymous Wall Street Bets insider. That was super useful. Yeah.
Senior Redditor. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.